So hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So in this video, we are talking about important stuff. We are continuing our series of C++ in this video. So in our upcoming video, you'll get a lot of stuff about the C++ programming language. In our previous video, we have already discussed the basics of C++. Okay, so let's see. So basically we have the PDF itself. We are learning from the PDF itself. After 1 minute, let me open first PDF. So yeah, we have this PDF over here. Also, if you need the PDF, do let me know in the comment section. I have put the video also, like link of the book itself. Okay, I'm asking for. It was 45 approximate. Yeah. So here it is. Okay, where it is, I think some pages are there, here and there. I think this is not the book. This is not the book. No, this is the book. Yeah. So in our previous video, we have already discussed the basics of the programming language. Why should we need to use the programming language? Okay. So in this video, we are discussing about some of the other important stuff like variable, data types, and memory mode. Okay. So let's see what the today's topic. So yeah, we have already discussed the interaction. So I would say it's pretty clear to everybody, right? So yeah, after interaction, we have tour of C++, the basics. So firstly discuss about this. Then we'll move into the 2.2, the basics, this heading. Okay. So 1 minute, let me check first. Is everything proper or? Yeah, everything going good. Everything going good. So let's continue. Okay, no, that was not. Yeah, this is no, this is not. I have opened the PDF over here. So basically, this tour of C++ save us from the strictly bottom of a representation of languages. Like I have already told you, why we need to use the C++ over the C language, right? And library facilities by enabling the use of the rich set of the facility even in the early chapters. For example, for are not discovered. Loops are not discovered in detail until chapter 10, but they will be used obvious ways of. Um, so this is the introduction. You don't need to, keep it in your mind actually. This is the introduction level. Okay. This tool represents, it's a basic, so here it is. C++ is a compile language. That means we need to use a compiler, not an interpreter. And also compiler is the fastest translator. If you talk about the translator of programming language, you'll get to know. Let me also search it. Is compiler is the fastest translator. I think it is, but let's clear it firstly. Okay. So compilers are generally faster. Okay. So compilers are faster than the interpreter for executing code. This is because compiler translates the entire source code into machine code during a thing. Yeah, I have already discussed about that compilers are more faster than the interpreter ones. Also, we don't, in today's time, we don't, use the assembler to, because we even don't use the assembly language. So that's why we don't need to use the assembler as well. Okay. So this is the compare between the compiler and interpreter as well. So moreover we'll get that compiler is the fastest. Okay, compiler is the fastest translator. Okay, so in the basics, as you can also see clearly, the C++ is a compiled language for a program to run. Its source text has to be processed by a compiler. Producing object files, what are the combined by a linker yielding an executable file? A C++ program typically consists of many source codes, usually simply code source, like source code, it basically changes your source code into the executable file. Executable file means the what I say is executable file means the extension. Yeah, that's it'll change. I mean, it'll change your whole code into the executable file. And to know whether your file is in which format, is it in the executable format or object format, you will get to know that it's having the extension of ext. If it is not clear to you, if you have any kind of doubt and all, let me also show you while I open the VS Code. Okay, so basically I have opened the VS Code. Basically you can say this over here, and for as a sake of the knowledge, I'm just showing you here. You can see this. I have just created a file memory allocation.cpp, but the compiler what does, it internally changes the whole code. Like it's for example, memory allocation.cpp is an object file because even though I don't have created any object in that, but yeah, it it's an object file, and compiler what does, it translate our object file into the executable file. You can see this. Okay, so this is done by compiler. And if you use the interpreter, let me also know, interpreter is not installed in my system, so yeah, I can't see you right now, but later on I'll definitely show you like how interpreter works actually in our upcoming videos. Okay, so memory allocation dot executable file clearly shows like how compilers change our object code into the executable form code. Okay, so yeah, this is the quick thing that I want to say. Hope that makes sense also. Okay, here we are. Here we are actually. So basically, if you compare the compiler to interpreter, you will get to know compiler are more faster than the interpreter. Interpreter translate whole code line by line. It translates whole code line by line. So you think, okay, it's faster, but but the actual the thing that happened is it makes code slow. For example, you can consider like you can consider like there are five family member. You can consider there are five family member you have. Okay, so what happened is you are just purchasing some stuff for each member. Okay, and if you are giving it to each member one by one, maybe it will you will get to spend more time than the when you choose a single note all person at a time, and yeah, you distribute the stuff. So this is the same stuff that happened when you use an interpreter and a compiler. Okay, so I think that makes sense although. So yeah, that is why we use C++ over Python. A lot of people will tell you that learn Python because it's English based, and yeah, it's a syntax is kind of easy to understand, but people don't prioritize because it's a slower, and sometimes it's also hard to debug because execution will slow, and you need to spend a lot time over it, even though you can't see. But whenever you create a very big program, then you'll get to know actually how it works. Okay, So, okay, so this is the quick thing that I want to set out. And then we'll discussing about the basics of. Okay. I mean, C++ is a compiled language. For the program to run, a source text have to be processed by a compiler, producing object files which are commonly by a linker yielding an executable file. Okay, I have already show you how it will change your whole program into the executable file. Like object file, your object file, it will change, it will convert, it will translate into the executable file, and yeah, then it will translate your source code into the machine level. You can't even see the process how it's going on actually, but behind of the scene it's going. Okay, it happened behind the scene. An executable program is created for a specific hardware system combination. It is also portable. Say for the Mac to Windows PC, when we talk about portability of C++, we usually mean portability of source code. That is, the source code can be successfully compiled and run on a variety of systems. Yeah, portable, whether it's a portable or not. I mean, can we use it over all the, whatever we use the system basically. So yeah, if it is portable, so you can use anywhere, any kind of system, over Linux, over, Mac, and yeah, many more other operating system you can consider like that. Okay. So code language features such as built-in, like yeah, we'll also discussing about char, int, loops, for, while, states, and many more other stuffs. Standard library components such as containers, we have vector, we have map. Also, we'll discussing why we use map. Okay, so basically, map in the in Python, we are using map whenever we need to take input more than one. To take input for more than one element, we use map there, but here map would be different. Also, vector, we have a lot of data structure as well that we'll learn here, like a stack, queue, linked list, recursion, backtracking, and many more other. Okay. So the standard library components are perfectly ordinary C++ code provided by every C++ implementation. This is C++ because standard library can be implemented in C++ itself, and it's a very minor uses of machine code of things such as thread, context switching. This implies that C++ is sufficiently expressive and efficient for the most demanding systems programming tasks. C++ is a statically typed language. Now you are thinking, okay, you didn't even explain me statically, dynamically typed languages, what these are. Can you explain a little? Can you elaborate a little? So I said, okay, I can do that. I can give that favor as well. So basically, statically typed languages are those languages. For that, you should need to write down its data type before its declaration. For the info, like I can say, like int array, and then inside the square bracket you give the size of the array. Okay. So for if you're not understanding, I can also help you. Not here, but this is how it is. I mean, yeah, statically typed languages are those languages. Statically typed languages are those languages. For that, you need to write down its data type before its declaration, like int array, int variable. Like for the whenever you declare the variable, you need to write down its the data type before it. Like in the Python, what happened is you simply create any variable like num1, num2, but here if we talk about the C++, you need to write down the data type like int num1, like that. You're getting my point, right? So this is how statically typed language and dynamically typed language are differ, how they are differentiating, how can you even differentiate the both languages with a single line of code. Okay, so this is a pretty obvious, this is a pretty common. I don't say it's a common, but yeah, it's a pretty simple to know, pretty easy to know. This is that it's type of every entity, object, value, name, and expression must be known to the compiler at its point of use. Yeah, you should need to know, right? Whether your expression is what it is. Okay. So point of use, you should know, at least you should know what you are using. Okay. The type of an object determines a set of operations applicable to it. Okay. So, so this is all about the introduction. After that, we are not going to any, we are not going to discuss anything about the introduction of C++. From here, maybe I have already told you maybe it will take 1.5 months to complete the series, but I'll upload you in a very easy way. Okay, so here we are creating our first code. Okay, so basically what int means. What is int main? It is the int main. So basically execution of program start from the int main itself. Because it's a bottom to up approach, it follows bottom to up approach because it's based on oops, right? So this defines a function called main, which takes no arguments and does nothing. 15.6 curly braces express grouping in C++. Here they indicates the start and end of the function body. The double slash begins a comment that's extend to the end of the line. A comment is for the human reader. The compiler ignores comments. Okay. So we have already discussed how int main exactly works. Okay. So basically execution of program start from here. Okay. So in the minimal C++ program, this defines a function called main, which takes no argument, it does nothing. Curly braces express grouping in C++. Here they indicate the start and end of the function body. The double slash begin a component that extend to the end of the line. A comment is for the human reader. The compiler ignores comment. So basically, we will also discuss about this stuff. How you can route down a single line comment. So basically to write a single line comment, we basically need to use the double backslashes. Okay, from here. A comment is start from here. Use this to write any comment. Every C++ program must have exactly one global function named main. Okay. So the program starts by executing the function. The int value returned by main, if any, is the program's return value of the system. If no value is returned, the system will receive a value indicating successfully completion. That means your function is completed, your execution is completed very well, right? A non-zero value from main indicates failure. It is always talking about like what will return your function, right? Return 0, return 1, and if you return any non-zero value, that means your program is not executed properly. It doesn't execute it properly. Some of the error that will pop up on over the window, over the terminal. You will get a lot of, maybe you will get a lot of error over there, right? So not every operating system and execution environment make use of that return value. Okay. So Linux, Unix based environment often do, but Windows environment rarely do. What they rarely do is execution. Okay. Okay. It's talking not every operating system and execution environment make use of that return value. Linux, Unix based environment often do, but Windows, Windows rarely do. Typically, a program produces some output. Here is a program that writes hello world. So this is the code of hello world. Okay. Yeah. The line has include a stream instruct. The compiler to include the declarations to the standard stream. IO facilitates as found in our stream. Without these declarations, the exception. Okay. Also, we can use from here using namespace stdio dot. using namespace standard, so that you do need to write on this standard out cout. Basically, it what does it a header file in which input and output, you know, are defined very well. Like you can consider in which in this header you have declared the both, the both string, the both function, input and output function, they have declared properly. The line instructs the compiler to include the declaration of the standard stream. IO facilitate as found of IO stream. Without these declarations, the expression should look like this. Okay. Also, it will print the output of this statement. What the statement you have write down inside the double, quotes. Yeah, it is called the quotes, right? Whatever that statement you have write down inside the quotes, it will print on the output window. Okay. Would make no sense the operator put two writes. Yeah, this is a insertion operator, also called as a put to operator, that basically displays a value over the terminal, writes a second argument onto its first. In this case, the string literals hello world written onto the standard output stream. A string literals is a sequence of characters surrounded by double quotes. In a string literals, the backslash character follows by another character denotes a single special character. We'll discuss about the character in next lecture. In this case, backslash n is the new line character, so that the character written as the hello word followed by a new line. Yeah, so backslash n basically print a new line and it is a special character. Special characters, if I talk about, we have a lot of special characters like backslash t we have, and backslash n we have, and some other we have also special character we have. In this case, backslash is the new line character, so that the character written are hello world followed by new line. The std specifies that the name of cout is to found in the standard library namespace. This I usually leave it out of standard when discussing standard feature. Shows how to make names from namespace visible without an implicit qualification. Essentially, all executable code is placed in functions and called directly or indirectly from the main. For example, this. Okay. So this is the syntax. It's created by the function. So this is our function. So you should ignore this line. Okay. You have to understand this for both lines. Basically, first line says that if you want to use cout and cin function, you should need to use it because all the data is stored inside this header file. So that's why you should need to use that header file, because if you want to use cout and cin function, so it is already declared in this header file. So suppose you can also suppose an example over here. For example, you can say, okay. So for example, you can say you have a book, okay, and in this book you have you have you have shared a lot of stuff about any particular stuff. Like if I consider you have a book, okay, you have a book in which you have write down the mystery of life. So whenever a person want to know the mystery of life, he have to purchase that book, right? He have to purchase that book because the knowledge of mystery of life is written inside this book, okay? So whenever you want to use cout and cin function, where that declare, you should use this header file before writing any stuff. Like you have to, you know, call this header file. And also this are this preprocessor directives. These all the preprocessor directives. Preprocessor directives, what does it? Pre-process your data. Basically whatever the data you will enter into it, it will pre-process it. Okay, so this is how it exactly works. Using namespace standard double square double return x equal x multiply whatever the statement you want to return, you can give over here, you can write down over here using curly braces, no curly braces, no, using semicolon. Okay, Hadoor of C++, the basics. Okay, this is a function. Right now you should avoid it. Okay, this is the return type, this is the function name, and inside the parameter as you give. Okay, oh no, what happened? Inside the parenthesis, basically you give your own parameters, right? And here you can write down the statement, all the statement, whatever you want, you can write down over here. And then we have int main function. What int main function return? Okay, you can write down also. A return type void indicates that the function does not return a value, types, variables, and arithmetic. Every name and every expression has a type that determines the operations that may be performed on it. For example, the declaration. Okay, like how you will declare any variable, any operator. So you need to simply define it, declare it, initialize it. Okay, declaration important, whether you can define after that. Every name and every expression has a type that determines the operations that may be performed on it. For example, the declaration.